On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, we're dealing with two things, folks. The third quarter of the Panthers season, 4 games basically in November, and a McDonald's Mukbang. Today, we're taking that All-American Classic Big Mac. We're putting their classic hash brown. Now, some people might call it a big hash. I like to think of it as a hash mac. We're going to combine these two together in one meal and see what you think, folks. I'm sure it's been done before, but I'm about to try it for myself. Before we get into today's video, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, folks. It doesn't cost anything. Make sure you pound that like button, leave me some comments, and hit that bell notification to be notified of future videos like today on the Carolina Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes, Charlotte Hornets, and the major college sports in North and South Carolina. All right, folks, I decided today I'm kind of going through some things. I've got some exciting material coming up with the Panthers I'm going to do. But I kind of wanted to sit back and look, when I do the first 4 games of the season, I've already done that video. You're talking about, here we are in July. I kind of let that out the end of June, 1st of July. The season starts in September. You kind of get ready to go to training camp. You kind of want to look at those first 4 games. Then I went ahead about a week later and decided to do the second quarter, which was games 5 through 8. Now, not to get ahead of ourselves, I kind of was going to put it off for a while before I did the third quarter, which is games 9 through 12, which is basically, you're looking also week 13 because it's a bye week. And since we have an extra week, we'll be covering 5 games in the fourth quarter. So basically, these games are going to take us to the first week of November, take us all the way up to the first week of December, because that first week of December, folks, it is a bye week. So we're going to include that in today, even though we're not done having a game to talk about. And I thought maybe by doing these 4 games now, I could wait until 2 weeks before we got to these games. We might be better than what we think we are right now. We might be worse. We could be decimated with some injuries. Some of the teams are looking at the Patriots on this list, at Arizona, playing the Washington football team, and playing at Miami. They may be better. They may be worse. We might go into those games right now, looking at a couple of these games, thinking, hey, that might be a loss. Or, hey, that's a surefire win. We might not feel that way as we get close to the season. So I didn't think it would do us any harm by going ahead and stepping out on the ledge a little bit and going ahead and talking about this third quarter of games, because they're going to be very important. I think the first half of the schedule is deemed in our favor. Now, it might not turn out to be that way, but when you got the defending Super Bowl champions twice, we do have a stint with New Orleans. I think we have to play Atlanta one more time by then, playing Miami and Buffalo, and and even New England. We got some, and I believe Green Bay as well, or it might not be Green Bay, but anyway, we've got some tough games to hoe. We really do. So before we get into these 4 games, I'm gonna get into this Big Mac here. See, it's a standard Big Mac. Not trying to get off the screen. And here's your standard hash brown. And yeah, you got it right, folks. I'm placing that hash brown right in the middle of that Big Mac. Now, and that's good. I decided to do this because sometimes I get tired of eating fries. And sometimes McDonald's makes the best fries, and sometimes they're just greasy. And a lot of times for breakfast, if I go to McDonald's, it's not my favorite destination, but yet sometimes I'll go, and I like a McGriddle. There's nothing wrong with a couple of the biscuits they have, chicken biscuit, things like that. But the one thing I do think they're spot on is they have a better hash brown than, say, a Hardee's, Carl's Jr., Burger King, Wendy's. I think their hash browns are better than those places. I do prefer Chick-fil-A's hash browns are okay, and there's nothing wrong with Bojangles with their seasoned fries for breakfast, or their oniony potatoey hash browns. But I decided to go with this and try it out. Now, I would call this the Big Hash, But if I put that in the video, I think a lot of people be thinking, man, what is this guy doing? What kind of drugs is he on? And it might get a lot of views. But I really felt the best way to go was calling it the hash mac. You just adding potato to the sandwich. And this is kind of good one of those things, if you got to hold a Big Mac, I don't know if you've ever driven down the road holding a Big Mac, it gets a little messy, a little sloppy. Fries, you know, you can kind of keep under the container. But if you throw this hash brown on there, yeah, it makes the sandwich a little bit bigger. But you got your whole meal there in one hand, folks. Now, if somebody else is driving, you got it made. Just watch for drips and keep on eating. If you are driving with it, well, handle with care, or it's slippery when wet. All right, let's get in this first game. Week 9. It's going to be a very important game. I figured it was going to be a primetime game, and it's not. It's on a Sunday. It's a 1 o'clock game in Charlotte, November 7th. We got New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, and Cam Newton. Now, the one thing about Week 9, Cam might not even be starting by then. I don't think New England's going to get rid of him. He may be playing well and performing. I know he definitely wants to play a Steve Smith on us, do a blood and guts game and win. And I understand from his standpoint. But our defense might be licking their chops if they can get a hold of Cam, if Cam hadn't gotten any better. And if any early prognostications are being foretold, it looks like N'Keal Harry, a wide receiver that New England drafted a couple of years ago, I think from Arizona State, he wants out, and he's kind of blaming Cam. Now, saying that, are they going to start the Alabama rookie quarterback Mac Jones? I don't know. He might be a poor man's Tom Brady. But by Week 9, we're probably going to know if we have Cam, if he's been getting any better, or if they've got Mac Jones. And I'm not going to place any bets right now because Cam can surprise. And then again, I wouldn't be surprised if Mac Jones wasn't playing because Cam's struggling or Mac Jones has picked up the offense. But in this game, folks, I'm giving us the big W against New England. And some people won't. I just like our chances in that game in Week 9. And so that's going to lead me to another bite of this hash mac. Very tasty. Okay. Week 10. Now, a lot of people might say this is a trap game. I don't mean trap game in the normal sense of the word. Normally, when we think of trap games, you think about, you're getting ready to play an upcoming opponent that's a big game, and you overlook the next game on the schedule. So let's just say we were going to play Atlanta for the NFC South Championship in Week 15, and we ended up playing a below 500 New Orleans team the week before, and we're kind of already looking past that as a win. And that's a trap game. That's a game you can lose because you're not focusing on your opponent. You're taking them lightly, and you're looking too far ahead. I'm not really considering this Cardinals game a trap game that we're looking too far ahead at the week's opponent after that, or even looking at New England the week before. I'm looking at it because it seems like when the Cardinals are good, and in my own opinion, when the Carolina sports guy thinks we're going to get our ass drummed by Arizona, like I didn't feel good last year. They had Kyler Murray. I thought they were going to be better. I thought Arizona, man, we beat them the year before. They're going to have our number. We're struggling. And I believe it was our first win under Matt Rule, if I'm not mistaken. Or it could have been the second. I know that we did beat them. And beat them by double digits, I believe. It was one of the big wins we had. But we're playing them at Arizona. And that's a 4:05 game. And the 4 o'clock games have never always been kind to us. And I've got us an L in this game. Now, hear me out. If Carolina wins this game, I'll eat crow. I hope we win the game. Do I think there's a chance that we will win? Sure I do. But remember, if you go back and look at my other 2 videos, I kind of loaded this up almost at 7-1 through 8 games. Maybe 6-2. But I think I did have us losing 1 game, I think, at Atlanta. But my point to you is, folks, I just feel that if we're going to start picking up a loss or two, it's going to be here. And the Cardinals are one of those teams, I mean, we can beat them, but the Cardinals are getting better. Kyler Murray, he might have figured us out, although we got to him last year. I just see it as a loss because if my predictions stand true and we're sitting here at 8-1 or whatever, and I know we're going to get a few more losses, it's going to come at the end of the season. I'm just kind of thinking it's going to hit here. Now, don't get me wrong. We could very easily win the game, and you think, oh, you said we're going to lose. You can't go 16-0 all the time, folks. It's not going to happen, or 17-0 this year. You're going to drop games once in a while. Now, the next week. This would be a game a lot of people would see us losing because we beat them last year as well. But I really feel on November 21st, the weekend here before Thanksgiving, I feel Sunday 1 o'clock game in Charlotte, we're going to get a win. 2 years ago, we played the Washington football team in Charlotte, and Ron Rivera lost his job after that. It was no way you should lose that game to Dwayne Haskins. And bad as we played, we should have not lost it. And he just didn't have the team prepared. Cost him his job. Now, last year, we played Washington. They're fighting for a playoff berth. We were looking at a top 3 or 4 draft pick. But I wanted to win. I don't like losing. I don't like losing to the Washington football team because I have a lot of people that I know, whether relatives or friends or just people that live in my area, and they're big former Redskins, current WFT fans. I want to win this game. Now, have they got the talent to beat us? Sure. Defensively, they're loaded. They got Curtis Samuel now. Now you got Marty Herney eating meatballs on the sideline, and you got Ron Rivera. But I just think our defense is good enough to shut down their offense, and I think we can score enough points when we're home. And between this Cardinals game where I got us as a loss, I got the Washington football game as a win, week 11, November 21st. I see us winning that game. Now, somehow we win the Arizona game, maybe this game will become a loss. It's just 2 games that look like likely wins. They look like a game that we could probably stumble in one of them because these teams aren't as weak. They're not much worse than we are, and we're really not much better than they are. And this is just how I see it playing out. Now, got to take another bite of this hash mac here. As we talk about week 12. Now, so far on the schedule, if there's any game than the Atlanta game at Atlanta because we don't do well, that I see where we're going to shit the bed and lose. We're going to let a little kerplunky out, a little Dawson come out and shit the field. That's week 12. A few days after Thanksgiving, we're going to Miami and playing the Dolphins. 1 o'clock game, Sunday, November 28th. I got us down for a loss. Now, would it surprise me if we won? No. I'd be a little surprised. But Miami's getting better. I got the draft picks, the capital. I don't know how good Tua's going to be, but they got a pretty stingy defense. They got a few weapons on offense. And they're well coached. And I just see Miami having a win here. I really would say it was an evenly matched game, but it is in Miami. They're going to be battling out ahead of New England, probably beating out the Jets, and they got to face Buffalo, who's probably the best team in that division. But I see Miami fighting for a wild card spot at this point. And I have Miami winning this game against us. Now, like I said, would I be surprised if we won the game? Not at all. Well, like I said, folks, I'm not going to be someone up here and pick a 17-0 record until we start going 13-4, 14-3, 15-2, and we do it 3 or 4 years in a row. Then I might pull out a 17-0 or 16-1 mark under our hats. But as long as we flounder around 500, a little bit better, a little bit worse, I can't do that. I got to pick a few losses here somewhere because it's going to happen until we definitely have gotten better. All right, folks, what do you think of today's video? Do you like the idea of a Big Mac and a hash brown from McDonald's? Do you like the word Big Hash? Do you like the hash mac? Let me know if you've tried this in the comments. Let me know what you think about these first 4 games, these 4 games in the third quarter. By all means, folks, pound that like button. Leave me some comments. hit that bell notification and be notified of other content like today in this Panther video. And by all means, much foremost, folks, doesn't cost anything, please subscribe. I will see you on another episode of the Carolina Sports Guy. Did it again.